Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Make a Destination. Do you want to be a more mindful traveler? Well, stay here. We're going to be really talking about the nitty-gritty of all-inclusive resorts. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Amanda. Again, this is Make a Destination. We're going to switch things up and we're going to do a new series called the Mindful Traveler series, where I help you navigate the world of travel and understand how your travel impacts local economies and local people. So if that sounds interesting to you, keep watching. Please watch until the end. I'm going to tell you how you could be a more mindful traveler in Jamaica and the Caribbean in general. So let's click that like button, click the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss one of my videos. So let's go. So I have my notes here, so if you see me keep looking at my screen, I just want to make sure I get all of the information to you that I've collected over the past few weeks. This is a video that I've been thinking about doing for a very long time, and I'm excited to finally present it to you. So we're going to be speaking about the Caribbean, but more specifically, we're going to be speaking about Jamaica. I just want to start this video out by telling you how this video was created and kind of thought of. So I went to Jamaica in 2019 with my boyfriend, and it was a lot of fun. We were young. I think I was like 19 or 20 at the time. I couldn't even drink in the US. So I want to talk about Sandals Ochi first. So we went to Ocho Rios, and this was our first time out of the country together. I've been out of the country with my mom before, but I've never been the responsible adult who had to make control kind of the whole situation. So it was very nerve-wracking to plan this trip, but it was very exciting. But we decided that we want to go to Jamaica. You know, kind of like any novice traveler, you start out with what you know, which everybody tells you to book with an all-inclusive resort. Everybody's like, stay on the resort, the country's unsafe, don't explore anything unless it's through the resort or in the resort. So we were looking, and of course you see those like corny like Sandals commercials over and over.
When was the last time you did something for the first time? Discovered water that was 20 shades of blue.
Or like when you're watching TV. So that was the first place I thought of, right? This is our first romantic vacation away from our parents, away from family. So why not go to Sandals? We decided to book it. It was $2,600 for 6 days, 5 nights. Honestly, for a first vacation with a significant other, but B, as a young person, I think it was a smart way to go. So we flew to Jamaica, went to Sandals Ochi. We didn't know what to expect, and it was great, you know? I mean, the beach was beautiful, the service was wonderful, the food was pretty good. But as the days went on, this is kind of where this video idea started to sprout, right? Because it looks so beautiful, but this is something that you might be able to relate to, but I feel like anytime you go to a beautiful Caribbean island, the resort and outside the resort look two completely different worlds. You're kind of like, you know, driving through and you're like, oh, this house doesn't really have a good roof, or it looks like it's crumbling, or you see like wild animals running around, or you see people who are very unhappy, and you're kind of like, okay, like this is a little weird. But the second you go like through the resort and like past the resort walls, everybody's happy, everybody's having a good time, you know. It's very weird, at least for me. Can you, in the comments, let me know if you've experienced this, where it's almost like two different worlds, right? I, especially always as a kid, questioned that. Like, why is it that the resort is so fun and so beautiful, but then you go outside and you're like, why is this country not doing well? So I would say the cons of the resort were, we were the youngest people there. Now I wish they would have, and they probably do, again, when we could travel again, I have a new outlook on how to book things, but we were the youngest people there. And I wish there was a resort where there really could be more young people and kind of more mindful travelers, because there were some awkward moments where people were being extremely demanding to the workers, and Sam and I both work in the restaurant industry, and we know what that's like, so we try to be as effortless of guests as possible. So that really was stark for me, seeing older, wealthier people, a good majority of them not from the US. I would say they're mainly from the UK, but there were some from the US, kind of being harsh to the workers, and that made me feel uneasy. And also, it was not an authentic experience of Jamaica, right? Like, why is there an Italian restaurant in a resort when we're in Jamaica? Like, I want jerk chicken, I want curry goat, like, I want peas and rice. I don't want Italian food or French cuisine in Jamaica. So I found that very weird too. It's, you know, as you start to unpack this all-inclusive package that you got, it's kind of like, is this really worth it for an authentic experience? Is this helping the local people? Well, on vacation, I'm sitting there and, you know, after all the classes and things I've taken, and I'm like, is my money really going to the local people? How come the resort is so beautiful but the island filled with disparity? And I started to think and do research, and I'm like, there has to be another way. Like, how come so many people go to Jamaica, right? I know a handful of people have gone. There has to be thousands, if not millions, who have gone to Jamaica. But how come their economy doesn't show that, their island, right? In the next segment, I'm going to tell you about the history and kind of the background of all-inclusive resorts. But I don't want this to be a bashing of sandals, okay? There are people who love the all-inclusive resort model, and that is fine. But if you're looking for another way to travel and you've had the same questions that I've had, like, is your money benefiting the local people? How could you have a more authentic experience? How could you really explore an island or a place that you don't know but also be safe? Definitely continue to watch this video. And again, please watch till the end because I will show you how to be a more mindful traveler in these experiences. So let's get into the background of all-inclusives. So I did some research, and I just want to let you know I like to cite where I'm getting this information from, because I don't want to say that I just, you know, did all this research and knew all of this beforehand. So I'm actually going to link in the description to the articles that I did this research on. And there is a good amount of information on this. I just wish more people knew about it, so that's why I'm delivering it to you in this platform. When I was searching YouTube, I really didn't see anything about the impact of booking a trip through an all-inclusive resort and what impact that has on the economy and the local people. So I'm not gonna go too much into the history. I'm just gonna do a little light brief overview. But if you want more of these videos, please let me know. I don't know if these videos are boring to you or not, but I hope not. But I hope it makes you think for when travel opens up again to be more mindful of where you book and what hotels you choose, because they are very important to people and to just their well-being. Let me stop rambling. All-inclusive resorts, that model was introduced to the Caribbean in 1979, and it is very concentrated in that area. So there are about 225 scattered over 19 Caribbean islands, which that's a pretty high amount for only not having 19 Caribbean islands, and a lot of them are located in Jamaica. Many people know Jamaica for being a hub of all-inclusive resorts. The reason why that model was chosen and why it's so popular is because they generate more than hotels. Their profit margins are between 35 and 40% compared to a hotel which averages around 20. So you're making about double your money if you decide to open an all-inclusive resort on one of these islands, right? So like, why wouldn't you do that? But how come the profit margin is higher but they're not go back to the local economy? Let's dig into that a little bit, because that's a little sketchy to me. When I was doing my research, I found out that these, I'm going to say AIRs because that's easier. These all-inclusive resorts, or AIRs, are operated by multinational companies who are not even located on the islands. They are not located anywhere on any of the islands. They're usually outside. They're usually in what they call the guest generating countries. The US, the UK, in Europe, you know, anywhere in Europe in those countries. So what they do is they create this all-in-one package, right? Oh, you get the beach, you get, you know, whatever water sports, you get these activities, you get all of this for one price. Oh, the drinks and food, all for one price. They sell it to the consumer in this, you know, just imagine like a box or a bundle. They sell it to you, and then they go to the country and they generate a contract with them. And they're like, hey, I created this price for an all-inclusive. You have to agree to this so that people can come to your island. And of course, because their economies rely on tourism so much, they say yes, even though they're not benefiting. So what happens is there's this leakage process, which basically, rather than the host country retaining the money you just spent, it mainly goes to the guest generating country where it came from or where they created that package deal. Goes back to the US, Goes back to the UK, goes back to any other countries in Europe, because they're the ones that technically created that package deal for you. So this limits the financial flow of the country, because once you get there, you're not going anywhere else. You are literally going from the airport, you're taking an airport transfer, you're getting to the resort, and most travelers just stay on the resort. They might do 1 or 2 activities off the resort. That's about it. They're not going to restaurants, they're not going to shops outside the resort. They're staying in the resort. So your money doesn't touch local people because you're staying on this resort. So when I found this out, it honestly blew my mind, because I'm like, you're going to Jamaica, you're experiencing their culture and the island, and you're using the physical geographic space for your vacation, but they're not even the ones who created it. I didn't know this before, and now I feel guilty for staying at Sandals Ochi, but I'm glad that I'm learning, and this is not to make you feel guilty. This is for everybody to learn why this has happened. So another question I had while I was doing this research was, why has this perpetuated so long? Why has nobody stopped and said, whoa, we don't want to do this anymore. This isn't right. You're using our land and generating like an idea of an all-inclusive paradise place, but we're not even benefiting from that. So in the next segment, we're going to be talking about why this has perpetuated for so long. Hopefully that stews with you, and just let it digest, because it is a lot to think about. So let's get to the next segment. How is this perpetuated for so long? There have been rumors for decades about high crime rates that have surfaced to tourists, right? So Jamaica used to have one of the highest murder rates in the world, and that got out. And so this has perpetuated over time as this country is not safe, right? And sometimes, or a lot of times with rumors, people do not fact check. They're just like, okay, like you said, you know, that there are high crime rates to not get off the resort. So there's kind of this fear tactic that works to the advantage of these multinational companies who run these all-inclusive resorts, right? Using a fear tactic, because you don't know until you're there. You could see pictures on Google, you could go to Google Maps, whatever the case may be, but you do not know what it's like until you physically get there. So the government has tried to improve this myth or rumor about these extremely high crime rates. So they have increased policing activities, they implemented occasional curfews, and they even tried reforming the justice system, which these are big things to do, but you have to realize a large part of Jamaica's economy relies on tourism. So they're going to try to erase this idea that they're a crime-ridden country. And the crime is not as bad as it seems. There are crime statistics. I'll put that in the description. I don't want to get too technical, but there's not like many crimes against tourists. There might be local crime, but there's not as much crime against tourists. It's very easy for the consumer to believe something, especially if it's permeated throughout society for so long, right? I mean, I remember hearing about that. I mean, everybody, I feel like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of people say, oh, you gotta book an all-inclusive resort. Oh, book a resort. Don't go outside of that resort because it's dangerous. And you kind of, you know, when you're young, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. But as you get older, you're like, is that really true? You know? I don't know. Another reason why this has perpetuated for so long is that AIRs are really easy for the consumer, right? You just go to a website, you see everything's included, you pay one price, and then you go, right? You don't have to choose what restaurant you're going to, you don't have to choose what bar you're gonna go to, what activities. You don't have to figure out how to go to and from a public beach or a private beach for that matter. You don't have to consider those things, right? So it's a great way to travel if you don't like doing research. Right? If you just are like, I just want to go somewhere for 5 days and I don't want to think about how I'm going to get there, how am I going to go back, what activities are included, it's easy. And it's a one price fits all. So that makes it even more relaxing, because I feel like, especially for the Caribbean, there is this notion of the Caribbean is for relaxation. That's where you go to get away. It's not an exploratory vacation like when somebody goes backpacking in Europe. It would kind of, in my opinion, be weird if there was an all-inclusive resort in Italy, because there's, you know, history you want to see, there's museums, there's restaurants you want to try, because that's kind of the tourist vision of that place. But the tourist vision of the Caribbean and Jamaica in general is, oh, it's paradise. There's nothing you have to do. You just sit back and relax. So why wouldn't the booking process not be similar? Why are you going to have a relaxing vacation but have to do all this research in order to have an authentic experience if all you want to do is sit on a beach, right? And I'm not saying that sitting on a beach is bad, but you just want to make sure that your money is actually going to the people's land that you are using for that segment of time. Well, that one price fits all really makes it more relaxing. And again, for decades, the Caribbean has been seen as a getaway. The Caribbean has gotten that, I don't know, that tourist vision of just relaxation. In the next segment, I'm going to tell you, what can we do? And this is where the answer kind of becomes more about opinion, and there really wasn't much out there because no one has really thought about changing this model. It's easy, it works in the favor of the consumer, and unfortunately, Jamaica needs the money because tourism is one of their main economic functions. But I think after this whole situation of not being able to travel, when things do open up again, you should be mindful of where you book. You should be mindful of where you stay. And I'm going to tell you why. This situation has affected them like no other, right? This isn't a hurricane season. This isn't a natural disaster. This is a pandemic where they literally went from millions of travelers going there to maybe even in the single digits. I honestly don't know. But you don't want to go back to supporting multinational companies who most likely were bailed out or helped during the situation. You want to help the local mom and pop shop, the local mom and pop restaurant, the husband and wife or whoever that own the local hotel, because it's more authentic and it will help them bounce back from this when things resume. Let's go to the what can we do section. All right, so we're here at the last section. I just want to say that if you're here and you've watched this whole video up until now, I just want to say thank you for your support. Again, if you want more videos like this, let me know what places you're wondering about in order to be a more mindful traveler. Let me know in the comments, and I appreciate your support. So what can we do? This is more of an opinion base from me, but just from what I said, support local hotels rather than hotel chains or resort chains. This is going to take more time from you to do the research rather than just typing best all-inclusive resorts, but it'll pay back in the long run. You're going to have a more authentic experience. People are really going to take care of you. You're going to get to know the local people. That's the point of traveling. It isn't so you could be in some bubble. Oh, okay, I'm just going to be in this little shelter and I'm going to pretend that I'm still in America or still in Europe or wherever. Just use this area for their land but not get to know the people. It's for you to experience that. That's what travel is about. Learning about somebody else's culture, their story, how they got there, whatever the case may be. And I think we forget that sometimes with travel, especially to the Caribbean. So the other one, again, support local restaurants and get your dollar to the local people. You won't be sitting there wondering, is my money going to their economy? Is my money helping their well-being? You're not going to worry about that because you know that your dollar's going there. Yes, you didn't prepay for the vacation. Yes, you're going to have to carry a card or cash. But you know what? As long as you're smart about it and as long as you are looking all around and you take your kind of sixth sense or your, street smart with you, you will be okay. And again, if you feel safer in an all-inclusive, I'm not saying they're all bad, but make sure that you choose one that isn't a chain or isn't a part of a multinational entity. It's not helping local people. You're hurting their environment. Do your research for your travels instead of going the easy route. How will your stay impact that country? Anywhere you go, you have an impact. I know we feel small sometimes and we say, oh, nobody will know if I'm here. It really adds up. If millions of people are going to Jamaica, that adds up. And that if you're a part of that number, you can do something to tell the markets, hey, the AIR, that isn't really working anymore for our generation. Maybe it's time to switch it. Maybe people are looking for something more authentic than that, right? Because look at even the advent of Airbnb. People were tired of being in a hotel. They all kind of look the same. So why not create an Airbnb? More authentic. You're in somebody's house. You're with the locals. That's what our generation is looking for. And also, one question I want you to ask yourself is, if you were a local, how would you feel about the situation? If you are a local of the Caribbean or Jamaica, let me know what you think. Am I right in my opinion? Was my research accurate? Let me know in the comments, because think about it this way. Imagine there's this beautiful place you live in, right? Tourists come every year. And it's nice, right? At first, it's creating jobs, it's helping support local businesses, it's helping, generate more income so that you don't have to maybe pay as much taxes. But let's just say 4 years down the road, all of a sudden, these big name brand kind of chain hotels/resorts are moving in. Your friend Bob and Sally have to close down their hotel because they can't keep up with these chain resorts. And then it just becomes sterile, and it's not really the culture you were hoping to come across or to create for your tourists. And then they don't even let you go over there, right? It's all this land. Let's just say it's a lake or a beach. Then they're on these beaches and lakes. You can't use them. These are private. You can't go on private property. So I would start to feel angry. I'd be like, oh, this beautiful land could, locals could be using and experiencing, and they're there year round, is taken away so that a tourist could use it. The tourist doesn't care about the local people, they don't care about the local economy, they don't care about the culture, anything that's happening, or they don't even do the research on just current events that are going on in the country. How would you feel? I think these are questions we need to ask ourselves more and more when we travel, and especially when things reopen, because a lot of places have been devastated from, travel not being able to happen. I know this was a more serious video, but I really hope you got an educational piece out of it. And please let me know if you want more of these videos. Let me know in the comments. I know I keep saying that, but I kind of went out on a whim here. If you want more information or less information, let me know. But, I really love hearing from you guys, and I like doing this. It's a nice way for me to reflect on my travels, but also be a more mindful traveler. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support, and until next time.